It's not bugging. Welcome, everyone, to the Real Whovians cast, episode 962. I am your host, Matrixlord212, and I'm with Mike D. What's up?
Shit.
All right, so I didn't get your opinion on Doctor Who Series 10, Episode 1, the pilot. So what is it?
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't...
Yeah.
Like I told the guys earlier in our group chat, you know, it's not like some instant classic, but I mean, it was good. It was good for... It accomplished what it needed to do, was kind of to do what they would refer to, I guess, as a soft reboot for the show.
Right.
I thought they did a great job with introducing Bill. I thought Bill was great during the whole thing. You didn't need a villain that was going to outweigh what they were trying to do in this, which was to reintroduce the Doctor and the dynamic with the companion and introduce a new companion. So, you know, you needed like a villain that wasn't going to be like outshining everything else in the story. So it did what it needed to do. And I just, like I said, I mean, I thought it was good. For what it did it well. I mean, but I never expected this was going to be like, you know, like Genesis and the Daleks of Deadly Assassin or something. I mean, right. Yeah, it's not going to be like an instant classic. I mean, it's just a, you know, it's just a introduction to like a new companion.
I mean, the thing is, isn't every time we get a new companion, it's a reboot? If you want to consider it that way, I mean, I don't see this as a dramatic announcement that it's a reboot. I mean, it's still connected to the new Who, still connected to the classic series. Every time we get a companion, it's new and fresh. So why this time would we go all out saying that, you know, this episode is going to be the one that's going to get all brand new fans to jump on board because this one episode? That's my problem I have with Moffat's speeches.
I'm not saying he hasn't. I'm not saying Doctor Who hasn't done that before, but I mean, introducing new companions. I mean, sometimes it's like a really, you know, huge, strong episode, and sometimes it's not. I mean, it's just. Right. It did what it needed to do at the time. I mean, I still considered it better than a lot of Matt Smith era episodes.
Right.
Where it's just a bunch of running around like a fucking moron. Like, you know, like.
I mean, what was the highlights for you with this episode that really, your best moments you liked?
I thought everything when Capaldi and Bill, the Doctor and Bill, were on screen together. That was the whole point, was to get a chemistry going between the two of them, to introduce you to Nardole. Was a little weird.
Right.
He's a little odd and quirky, but then again, I guess that's his point of being that way. From what I understand, you guys had some interesting dialogue earlier today over this episode, and I guess debate about it or something. But I mean,
my whole thing was like when Moffat was making a huge stink about exploiting this episode as the thing to bring about all new fans to Doctor Who, and like he really made a big issue in many articles and interviews, videos about this being a reboot. I mean, I sort of laughed when he said that, because every single time, to me, you get a new companion, it's a new perspective. So to label it that way, that this was going to be, of course, I would judge it more harsher, because he went above and beyond through many interviews, making it like this is a monumental rebooted episode, which, you know, I just saw it as a new companion, fresh. You know, I didn't see it as, oh my God, this is the...
Yeah, but Jonathan Turner did the same thing. That's part of being the showrunner, is, you know, giving a lot of like hoopla surrounding things. I mean, he did the same thing when they had like Melanie announced as the companion, and you know, you saw how that went down with Bonnie Langford. I mean,
right.
They always got to overhype everything. I mean, no one buys into all that shit anymore. I mean, whenever they hype shit like that, I mean, come on.
My thing is that, I mean, it was cool seeing, you know, River Song, Susan, like the picture frames. The TARDIS really wasn't broken. It was just a ruse. Nothing's wrong with the TARDIS at all. I did find it interesting how Nardole looks mechanical, almost as if maybe he's a robot or something, or his body is a robot, and so like a screw fall out of his arm or something, and he's like
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, you know, it was cool seeing throwaway lines like I guess they encountered the Daleks before. There's been many adventures with the Doctor and Nardole that we really don't know about. You know, there was none of that nonsense about Nardole traveling with the Fourth Doctor. I mean, he just whipped out different sonic screwdrivers, which was interesting. To me, I just I didn't understand, like, you know, we had the last Christmas special where it's like, all right, he's sad about River, you know, and stuff like that. Now it's like, you know, he right away I thought it was weird that he was going to erase her memory, and then all of a sudden when she said something to him about, would you like your memory erased? How could he remember his memory being erased? You know, it's like, unless of course he does. He remembers that his memory was erased to Clara. Maybe he got it back, because that's the only reason I can think of that it struck him a little bit. And then her explaining how could you take away all this from me? This promise that he made to somebody that he wouldn't interfere, he would just stay behind or something. I don't know what all that's about, but it's just kind of weird how she tells him about the puddle, and he just tells her, "Oh, don't be bothered with it. Just, you know, stay away from it. It's fine. It's harmless." Like, did he really think that her life wasn't in danger? Like, from all the years he's a doctor, it's kind of weird. And he's just, to me, he seemed like a senile doctor, just like losing touch with reality in some instances, because he's known plenty of times the dangers that are faced. So why wouldn't he take it seriously when someone comes to him with something weird like that? And the fact that he just nonchalantly leaves sonic screwdrivers out where anybody can just take is weird to me too, because the whole thing was that the sonic screwdriver he destroyed a whole factory, as Moffat explained in Moffat's story, that he destroyed a whole factory when they were making sonic screwdrivers, turned into a banana factory. So Moffat's going against his own writing, making it like, oh yeah, sure, let's steal a Sonic. It'll be no big deal. It could be the biggest deal in the season. I mean, so just to have a retro thing or a nod to the fans, I thought that was just dumb, you know. And the fact that, you know, he's making references like this is taking too long. The fact that he's on Earth for 50 years. I mean, everything we've seen with the Doctor, he can't sit still. He can't spend that amount of time. No type of mission that he has. When he was stuck on Trenzalore for 1,000 years, he went crazy. That he's like, I'm never going to be stuck anywhere. Even when he was hanging out with Amy and Rory for a couple of weeks, he was losing his mind. So what kind of freaking mission would that be, that he's 50 freaking 4 years on Earth?
It's a different guy, though.
What's that?
It's a different guy, different person.
I know it's a different Doctor, but it's like you're not allowed to cross over into your own timeline. And basically he did by staying in one place for 54 years. I mean, all this stuff's happening around him with his other selves. And he's from 1963 till now or whatever. I mean, that's a little weird. Like, what the hell is going on there? Why couldn't he solve it? And, like, why is it taking 50 years to solve something? That's odd. So I don't know what that's about, but it doesn't make any sense to me. I think we've seen, how many times did we see he retired or he gave up? I mean, why do we have to go through this with every single Doctor? It's either he's going to die or he's going to retire, or, I mean, we've seen that with Matt Smith's Doctor. I mean, it's like, why are we redoing everything? That's what I don't understand. I mean, it's like he's taught in school. He's taught done things. I mean, as David Tennant, he was teaching in school reunion, you know, like as a teacher and stuff. It's like, you know, for 50 years, it's kind of weird that he's just not having a companion, not traveling around. I don't know, man.
Well, he's having to maintain whatever's going on in the vault.
I mean,
so
50 years, he's going to 54 years, I guess. He's going to stay there and just with this whole thing. He's not going to figure it out.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, maybe it's that he's waiting on something.
So why don't you just travel with the TARDIS until it goes on? Sort of like he'll know when the time is up. Why is he going to sit there for 54 years?
Maybe because he doesn't know when that time is. Mm-hmm. Does that 50-year time period, because you said from 63 on, is that set like that date?
No, I mean, she made a reference that you hear 50 some odd years, which are they saying that the whole length of the show he's there, or is it just 50 years exactly? Because,
well, since we know the first Doctor's coming back, and that would have been about a 50-year period,
right?
But, so that maybe it's tied in something to do with he's having to be there to be there at exactly the right moment when something happens regarding the first Doctor with the Cybermen or something.
Meaning he has that memory of the first Doctor appearing with him?
Well, remember when it's kind of like in the episode where they had all the Doctors coming together.
Yeah.
For the Time War thing and everything. They all kind of had that memory that's been planted in all of them at the time. So
right.
we're only seeing it from one side of things, not the
so
side.
Like he has a memory of the first Doctor saying, "You got to be here at this point in time during this thing. This is what happens." So he remembers that. That's what this whole thing is about, really.
Like kind of like if you knew you were going to run into your uncle 20 years from now at Niagara Falls to keep something important from happening, but it's like...
Sort of like Time Crash, where the 5th Doctor remembered seeing the 10th Doctor do that. So when he became the 10th Doctor, he just did that with the TARDIS and fixed everything.
I mean, I guess, but I mean, I just... what's in the vault? Do we know what's in the vault?
I don't know what's in the vault at all. I mean, it's just
speculation. Yeah,
we could say the Masters and who knows. I mean, I don't really know. I didn't even know that John Sim was gonna. I mean, everybody assumed that he just regenerated after the Time War, not that he was going to be around for a while or whatever, and have a beard and whatever the hell he's doing. So, I really don't know what the hell's happening at this point in time. But, my thing is, I mean, I know we're not going to get answers, but about a lot of things Moffat's just going to overlook. But do we really need to have more questions and not have that answered? I mean, a simple thing about what the puddle was, what the girl is she dead? Is it the alien taking over?
It's just like in life. Yeah, but it's just like in life. There's a lot of things you don't get answers to, and that's kind of cool that they leave things open ended, so that you could come back later and revisit them, or it gives some sort of mystery to things.
I mean, I can understand to do certain things, but the only problem with Moffat is he never explains anything. So it's like it kind of leaves you, where you're not having that trust that it's going to be resolved properly, or I mean, when he wrote for Russell T Davies, they had an ending, it had an explanation. The Doctor Dances Empty Child, it was explained and over in 2 episodes. Girl in the Fireplace was explained and over in 1 episode. Blink explained and over in that. Sounds of Larva, Forest of the Dead, everything was perfect. But when he's on his own, he just doesn't answer any questions. And then it's like we had cast before where Connor was saying how this is like paint by number Doctor Who, like that maybe Moffat was just too much with that, and now he's trying to dumb it down. But why would you want to dumb it down? I mean, if that's the case, why don't you just explain things or answer the damn questions rather than just make it like where it's I don't know. I mean, after all these years of Doctor Who, not that I'm saying it has to be the greatest episodes, the greatest villains, but you keep throwing questions at us. Answer something. That's my point. It's like, answer some damn questions, not just keep going on and on and on. I mean, the whole series is going to be questions and you're never going to have answers, then people are going to lose interest. And then you're like, oh, yeah, he doesn't answer anything.
The thing that's kind of silly about saying something about levying accusation about it being a paint by number, the Doctor in Series 8 was different than the Doctor in Series 9, so you can't have a paint by number scenario because there's no norm. Things were changing. Plus, both of those were great series. And I mean,
I tend to disagree with Series 8 and 9, but I mean, I don't see that as great series. I mean, you and I differ when it comes to David Tennant and Matt Smith. I know Matt Smith you don't like at all. I actually like.
Well, wait, I didn't say I didn't like. No, I kidded around about Matt Smith. Yeah. No, Smith is the lesser of the Doctors that I like. But no, I mean, I think Capaldi's last 2 series were great. I mean, I'm sure the fangirls are all over Tennant and Smith, but I mean, I don't dislike them because I talk about them being fangirl favorites or whatever. But being a long-standing fan of the show myself, like
Right.
that's been around, watched the show longer than some of these little jerk offs have been alive that are like criticizing Capaldi. You know, they're just like little fucking nimrods.
But see, the thing is, it's not. I'm not criticizing Capaldi at all. In fact,
I'm not referring to you either. I'm saying people. I'm just saying whoever fits that. I'm only offending those who fit the description, basically. Like those people, if they consider themselves that, then they're who I'm talking about. Because, like I've said before and stated before on the show, people should be glad that the show is even on the air now.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're whining and picking apart and being little whiny bitches about stuff. And it's like, the episode was good. I mean, every episode doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10. And
exactly.
Capaldi's been great. I mean, you know, these little motherfuckers that are whining about shit, that are the little fangirl, little pipsqueaks and shit, they would have not even paid attention to the show when it was on in the classic run. They would have, you know, oh my God, Tom Baker, John Pertwee, they're so strange looking, you know? And it's like, they don't understand the concept of the show, like from its inception. And they're just kind of like, you know, oh, it's hipster. It's cool to be like, yeah, I'm a fan of Who, but I've never really watched the classic series. I don't really like the classic series. I just watched the new series because they're little douchebag hipsters is all they are, you know? And that mentality, on the other hand, also, you know, people that are saying that it's a paint by number thing or whatever, that's
I didn't say that, but Connor was using that reference.
No, I'm saying for someone to make that accusation too, you know, that's kind of stupid too. Because I mean, it's not. I mean, Capaldi's been great, and people are going to whine about, oh, the writing let him down, all this other kind of shit. There's always something to complain about. You know, series 8, 9, and 10, people could sit there. It's a goddamn TV show. It's not real. Get a life, people. I mean, you can sit there and pick it apart to death. It's meant for entertainment. You don't need to know the answer to every fucking thing that goes on to every little thing. I mean, just watch the goddamn show and shut up. I mean, you know, enjoy what you have. I mean, it's not like the show sucks. It's not like it's terrible. And I mean, you know, you've got some douchebags that are like fans of Star Wars now. Star Wars is paint by numbers if there's anything paint by numbers. That's a stupid sci-fi fantasy world. Robots and ray guns, like stupid shit. I like sci-fi. I don't like fantasy world shit. And if you know, people are going to like talk about Star Wars being better than Doctor Who or whatever. I mean, yeah, Rogue One I thought was great, but let's face it, The Force Awakens was just a retread of Star Wars we've seen before, and that's playing it safe. Movie making is Star Wars completely across the board. So I'm just addressing different criticisms that I've heard from different people, you know, over a while of, you know, the series and, oh my God, you know, it's like Star Wars and, oh, this isn't as good as like Matt Smith. And it's like, just like, you know, then fuck off and leave the show then. No one cares.
Right.
I mean, I've gotten a little bit more realistic too, you know, a little bit more, and I don't care. I'll judge people. I don't give a fuck about it. Cause I mean, who doesn't judge people? You know, that you go through life judging people every day, all the time. It's what we do. It's what keeps us alive. And I will judge people as, you know, very harshly that, you know, if they don't like the series, that's fine. I'm not saying that they have to, but, you know, the people that are whining about it incessantly and shit, just, you know, fuck off.
Just like if the Doctor became a woman, that's who would stand for that, basically. Then you would be done with the show.
Yeah, right? But you know, I would just leave I would leave from being a fan of the show. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be sitting around like whining about it like a little bitch. I mean, I would just go, you know, okay, well, I don't think that this is in line with, you know, what the character is, and you know, I know like Connor, he and I highly disagree about that fucking fugly that fugly actress. What's her name? Phoebe Waller-Bridge or whatever.
I don't know. Yeah.
And we were talking about Chris Marshall today, and he's like, Chris Marshall's bland, and he's safe casting or something, and I'm like, I'd rather have Chris Marshall. I mean, I'd rather have somebody. I don't care if they're taking it back to like a Kenneth Smith sort of thing where it's, I mean, you know, throw the fangirls a bone. You know, I'm a realist. You know, give them a little something. Throw them something. Make them, appease them a little bit just to shut them up. You know, give them a 30-ish Doctor, and let's move on with things. You know,
right?
But I'd rather see that honestly than a female Doctor, because I just think it's. I understand the dynamic of the show allows for something like that to occur. Right. I'm just saying, I see it as being a gimmick.
I see it's okay to criticize the show if you feel that it's going in a direction where it could reach cancellation, the ratings, and you care about the show where you're voicing your opinion, wanting it to change where it doesn't get canceled. I mean, I don't have a problem with nitpicking it sometimes to where there'll be a throwaway line that Moffat put in Death in Heaven where Clara tells the doctor, well, you could be king or you could be a queen. And he's like, yeah, I have no problem with being a queen. And it's like, oh shit, here we go with Moffat fucking
let's talk about what you just brought up. Let's talk about what you just brought up, because you said something about, things that would drive the show to being canceled, stuff like that. What is going on differently now that wasn't going on during Matt Smith's time? Because it's still Stephen Moffat overseeing.
Moffat's burned out.
Okay. Well, and
beyond belief. I mean,
I probably agree that he should have left like 2 series ago, right?
But right, and the thing is that when you make, and this is where I criticize him heavily lately, when you go to the general public and the media to write an article like on you about Doctor Who, which he just loves talking about himself with Doctor Who, and he says, "Yeah, Series 7, I fucked it up. It sucked." It's like, wow. And then he's like, yeah, I'm burnt out. It's like, well, then fucking go. Like, I mean, I can never do something and then start ripping my shit apart. Like, why don't you just go quietly instead of like, because now the people that defended you and your writing ability on those series, you're throwing them on the bus and saying, no, yeah, it's true, I sucked. It's like, wow.
I can separate the product from the producer, though. I mean, like Doctor Who's not Stephen Moffat. Doctor Who's not Stephen Moffat. So, I mean, like him talking about himself, John Nathan Turner was a big showman as well. I mean, but I mean, Doctor Who wasn't just John Nathan Turner.
But I haven't heard Capaldi. I haven't heard that Moffat once say lately that, oh, Capaldi's a tremendous presence. I wish we can keep him. It's crazy, whatever. All it is about.
I think there's a lot of political bullshit going on. I don't think John Nathan Turner was a fan of Tom Baker at the time. I think that they clashed personality-wise. But when you're dealing with this stuff, I mean, come on, you've worked with companies and shit. There's internal politicking and there's things that go on that are just like kind of people stabbing each other in the back and gossip and rumoring and things going on. And I mean, like we all said, I think that he still was kind of burned by feeling like, I think that Peter's been like I think he's been a very good, forthright sort of guy that's been a good reflection of the show and advertising the show and putting it out there and being a good guy for the fans and trying to grow the franchise and stuff and continue with the fan base. And I think he just feels like he's been fucked by the politicking that's gone on. And I think that it's, that he's just kind of like being a better guy and showing class by not really going out there and just being like very divisive by just saying,
Oh, I agree. I mean, he could go out there and say, this fucking sucks and I can't stand this. But then we create negativity and create a damage to the show. And he's going out there.
He's like, Steven lied to me. This is bullshit.
Fucked up, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like, what's her name? I mean, is Bill, do we know if she's going to be on past this series? Or is this going to be her only one?
I mean, we heard rumors that she got let go before she even started, meaning, like, but then now we're hearing that it's bull crap, and people are trying to say these rumors that she's going to transition the new Doctor for a couple episodes, maybe not. We don't know. We really don't know, actually.
Well, this is going to get into your theory about why you don't like Turlough, because he tried to kill the Doctor, when, from what we understand, Bill's going to actually shoot and cause the Doctor to regenerate. Right?
We talked about that on the cast. We don't know
that was a good cast. I watched the 3 you did in a row, like, late, like, last night, early morning. And I was like, wow, because I hadn't heard any of that. It was like watching it going, I had the volume jacked up, and I was like, okay, like, really, like, on the edge of my seat listening to what you guys were talking about.
And now they had this article today that said that Chris Marshall was already filming with the cast for Doctor Who. And it's like, well, what the fuck does that mean, that Capaldi leaves mid-season and he's just taking over? I mean, what the hell is going on here? or some shit. Because
it seems very odd. Like these leaks, they seem like they're just like it almost seems like they're intended to cause chaos to where you can't really like they know that things are going to get leaked, so they're trying to cause chaos to where you don't actually know what things that rumors are going to be true or not.
Right, like this whole rumor that somebody can play Roger Delgado's master because he passed away and have another actor try to act like his master rendition of it. That could be bullshit. It could just be John Sim and Michelle Gomez, and that's it. Nobody else. I mean, the whole thing about David Bradley playing the first Doctor, maybe that's bullshit too. Maybe it's just the Cybermen come back. The master's not related to that. Who knows? There's a lot of stuff that's just thrown out there, and it's just...
I'm pretty sure the Bradley thing's true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my thing is that all this time we've been having casts craving a multi-master story, a multi-doctor story, all these things that we wanted the Ice Warriors, we wanted, you know? And it's like, all these years you could do it, and you don't do it. And it's, now that you're burnt out, now you do it in your last year? That's kind of weird to me. I'm like, you could have did it the whole time. It's too little too late. Why don't you just, you know, I don't understand that. And it's just, to me, this whole, I have this theory today after seeing the episode. Now, I don't know if you saw Class. I saw the whole entire season of Class, right?
I heard it was shit, and I never bothered to watch it.
And I kind of wondered why that all came about. I was wondering, well, Moffat turned down, ripped up a check for a lot of money for the Paternoster series, and he didn't want to do any Doctor Who spinoff. So why would he choose someone he doesn't even know that's a writer of young adult novels to do a spinoff of Doctor Who? So today I was thinking to myself, and I'm watching, I watched the pilot, and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? The ratings are dropping. What if the BBC forced Moffat to work with Patrick Ness, because he's a young adult novelist, to try to give him something new, to like invigorate him to write better for young adults? You know? And I'm saying to myself, well, like, I'm thinking this while I'm watching the episode, because it reminded me of Class a little bit, this episode. And I'm like, you know, it's kind of weird how he's focused on the young adults all of a sudden. Like, he never gave a shit before about it, and he just finished a whole season of Class. So is it that he's doing it now from his experience working with Class with Patrick Ness? Or is it just coming natural now that he did it in Class and he wants to do it here and it'd be different and just focus on him training the next generation in class and lectures and stuff and like whatever? So
they're trying to capture the younger demographic again for the fan base.
Yeah, the last season, but all these other seasons not giving a shit, but now he gives a shit about the
well, yeah, because I mean, maybe the BBC or the Bean Counters, they came along and they're like, look, you know, the edict has come down from upon high that this is what we're going to be doing now. Because I mean, obviously, the merchandising, like just like Star Wars, they create characters not for any story needs. They do it so they can sell toys. Right. They want to sell a cute little droid. You know,
right.
They want to sell a Jar Jar Binks puppet or something. Right. So it's all merchandising, and the Doctor Who's like they're wanting to do that. They're wanting to get it all out there,
but I don't think Moffat's complying with that because you know what? Not for nothing. I mean, the past couple of seasons, they never really had opportunities to make action figures of whatever was going on because there was nothing really going on that was action figure worthy. Because and that's telling because you're going to make an action figure of emoji robots. Nobody gives a shit about that. You're going to make an action figure of woodlice. I mean, is he doing anything in the season that's going to boost toy sales? I really doubt that much if he's thinking that mentality. So, I mean, shouldn't you think about...
Well, I mean, during Tenet's run, I mean, what did they have?
Oh, they had the Satan Pit. I had the whole thing.
Well, come
and
on,
everything. I had a whole bunch of sets.
There weren't a lot of people buying that shit. I mean, they had like
the sales were great with the ones, and Matt Smith.
No, but it was like the Ood and the Adipose and things like that. I mean, no one was buying like the Sycorax and shit.
It was the fucking. I had the laser screwdriver, the master set. I put the master on the kids.
Well, I'm talking about characters. I'm talking about characters, though, because I mean, like people are buying Capaldi's screwdriver right now. But I'm talking about characters that they used in episodes.
I mean, I can see they'll make an Ice Warrior figure because of the Ice Warrior Queen, I guess, in this, episode. I could see them making the Mondasian Cybermen. I can see them making the bearded John Sim, and missing a blue outfit, missing the other outfit. How many missed outfits she's going to have this season? I mean, but it's like too little too late. I think it's just all these years, like, he's burnt out. He even admitted he's burnt out. I mean, he's just, and I think things didn't work out for him pretty well, like he thought it was. I think he was just confident in his head that he would have a job doing Sherlock for years.
Well, the other thing is, if somebody comes to you and they're like, hey, we want to offer you this job, are you up for it? You're going to say yes. It's like, hey, you seem like you'd be good in this picture we're shooting. Are you an actor? Well, yes, of course I am. I mean, you're not going to say no. So, I mean, especially
that's why Hollywood approached him to do Jekyll, the movie, based on his TV show Jekyll. And he's like, I'm done with Doctor Who, sure. I don't have a job, sure. I'll work on the script with you. I'll do a movie. I did Tintin with Steven Spielberg, sure. And Peter Jackson. That's what he's doing.
Not all about that.
Yeah, he's doing a Hollywood movie, which why not? But it didn't work out the way he thought. I mean, he basically became completely unemployed because there's no Sherlock and there's no Doctor Who, and that's kind of why he's double backing now and he's saying, no, let's give Class a chance. Wouldn't you want to see a second season? Well, sure, because then he has a show that he's an executive producer on or whatever, and he has a job still with the BBC for a whole year. So of course, like he doesn't want to have nothing in the background. So I mean, if that's his Weeping Angels is going to keep him from, it's going to keep him doing Doctor Who spin-offs and not Doctor Who. That's what he's going to probably do.
So what are we going to bitch about? What are we going to bitch about when Moffat's gone at the end of the series?
It's not about bitching about anything. We just want to enjoy the show.
And I enjoy
it. Just relax it, like without.
I enjoy it and I relax. I've had more fun. I got to tell you honestly, I lost interest, and I'm not trying to trash Matt Smith. I really lost interest in his last couple of series.
Right.
Especially the last one. I didn't bother to watch like probably 4 or 5 episodes. Like the Crimson Horror, whatever season that was. Like those.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
I just was just like so over it, and it's like the shit, like the fucking the tree people, as you call it, whatever the spoonheads or whatever, like that kind of crap to me. It just got to where it was just so fantasy silly that I could watch it, but it just wasn't compelling. And
but once again, who wrote that though?
Capaldi made this exciting to me.
But once again, who wrote that episode though with the spoonheads?
I don't. Was it the
Moffat? And who wrote the tree people? Moffat. So like, what the fuck do you expect? This is why we bitch and complain.
Yeah, but I mean, Moffat. I liked. Well, I mean, maybe I'm comparing two vastly different things, but I mean, Capaldi's whole run I love compared to like some of the stuff that I saw with Matt Smith that was very mediocre. Like, I mean, somebody willing to give this episode a 5 out of 10, they must have been asleep during Matt Smith's last couple of seasons, because those are true 5 out of 10.
I got to tell you, this is where you and I differ. I really liked Matt Smith a lot, and I really. But I don't like there's some episodes that really I cringe at, like the Night Terrors. Oh my god, like whatever. But it's. I
think John Pertwee. I'll say something controversial. I think John Pertwee's run is the most solid run from beginning to end. His era, even over Baker's, because Baker's first 4 seasons, like the first 3 were like timeless classic, like boom 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 back to back 1 2 3 everyone. But I think
I could jump in with Pertwee. John Pertwee, he had a set thing where he had a cast. It wasn't just him and the companion, like Liz Shaw, Joe Grant, or Sarah Jane. It was, he had the Brigadier, he had the, Sergeant Benton, Yates. I mean, there was a whole like system in place. So the brigadier would bounce off the doctor, and then the companion interaction with the brigadier, and it was like they couldn't use the TARDIS to travel half the time, so it had to be like really on Earth, which that worked more than it does now. I mean, honestly, it was really good stuff. And throwing the Master in the mix, I mean, half the times that was like fantastic, and it's like, with Tom Baker, you have like great standout episodes with Sutek, and the Jaggeroth, and shit. But then you would have the Leisure Hive, but I'll have a heart attack. Can't stand that shit, and it's like, why are they?
It's not that bad. I watched it, and it's not one of the best.
Oh,
well, no, you're making it sound like it's getting a root canal bad. It's not that bad.
I gotta get a root.
I just watched it. I watched it like a month ago, and it's no Deadly Assassin or Talons of Wing Chiang, but
like the fucking Twin Dilemma, that shit.
Yeah, but I can watch. I like the Twin Dilemma. I mean, for what it is, but it's nostalgic to me because when I saw it, I mean, if I watched it, I'd probably think it's kind of cornball compared to like some of the other stuff. But I mean, look at McCoy's first series.
Oh, Paradise Towers and the fucking
and I still like those.
I know.
They're still goofy. I mean, fucking Fifi and the Candyman.
I mean, the Candyman. I always love the Candyman. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
But I mean, the thing about that, getting back to Matt Smith, with talking about Smith, because I mean, I'd like to. I mean, actually, because this comes up a lot. I'd like to actually address it. The thing with Smith, you say I hate Smith. I don't hate any of the doctors. I goof on Matt Smith just because he just, he seems to be kind of the poncy, goofy doctor kind of type guy, and it's the one that the fangirls kind of came on board with and stuff. So I take the piss out of Smith. And, and the thing with him, he just seems like kind of a douchebag, like as a person, from what I've heard, like with autographs and being kind of snobby with the fans and stuff like that. And his career went nowhere but like in the toilet after he left the show. So in and of itself, with him being the doctor, I think that he was let down by some of the writing too with his episodes. But I think that I'd much rather go back. Like I think Capaldi's era to me far outshines Smith's. And just because I like that sort of classic doctor sort of thing, like he brings, and Pertwee's my favorite doctor, who he's kind of like, he emulates a bit. So it kind of reminds me of a little bit of a darker sort of Pertwee, a little bit crotchety, and I just prefer that sort of doctor. I mean, I understand people like Smith. I mean, that's fine, whatever. But and I mean, I don't dislike him, but I just prefer other doctors over him. Just like, as it is with any of the other people. There are people that they completely shit on Colin Baker. He's like the redheaded stepchild of like Doctor Who, and I like Colin. I mean, he had like his stuff with his coat, the infamous things about the coat, the writing, all that kind of stuff. But I still nostalgically like his run in the role, and
he had some of the greatest episodes too with the Valyar and everything. I mean,
Trial of the Time Lord. Yeah, with the two doctors, I love it, and
I like too. We were talking about that before, actually.
I think if I'm not mistaken, Connor said that was shit. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That was great.
I almost fucking had a heart attack when I heard that, but whatever. It's like,
I'm like, but yeah, I mean, because it's like if you.
But I could sit there 5 hours if it was. I know the episode wasn't 5 hours, but it was a long episode, the two doctors, and I could sit there and enjoy myself.
It was shot on location. You got the Centaurans.
It was great. It was a long episode, but it was fantastic. Because you know what it is too? It brought back Patrick Troughton, and it's like, he's doing a secret mission for. This is not a simple thing.
Jamie,
he's actually aging.
And Jamie.
Yes, but he's actually aging because he already knows he's regenerated, but they take him out of time like they took Claire out of time. Almost the best explanation. And he says, well, the first thing he does, I'm going to do this mission for you, but I'm going to give my companions back their memories because that's bullshit. And it's like great because he's with an older Jamie McCrimmon, so it's like, I mean, that was fantastic. So, I know we're just skipping around, but I really genuinely like Matt Smith's performance as the Doctor. Very rare that there's an episode that he did that I didn't like. And if I didn't like it, I don't think it was really had to do with him. It has to do with Moffat and whatever Moffat had them write about and different things. I mean, ultimately, he's the showrunner, he's the writer. He could have, and he admitted himself, he actually thought he had a whole season to explain all his stuff. And it was going to be the masterpiece of Doctor Who. And he was going to have that last season with Matt Smith, and he was going to explain everything perfectly. And it would have been like a pure perfection Doctor Who, beginning, middle, end. And he was fucking, that's what he saw. And then when it didn't happen, he was like a little kid. And he's screaming on the floor, banging around. And just to be a jerk, he kept doing it. Where he just kept not answering questions.
Well, wait, I'm not aware of this. They were going to go and do like another season, but Smith announced he was leaving. Is that what happened? And that's what
he said it in things. I'm going to convince him to stay. He's going to stay. He really thought he was going to stay. He really did, and then he didn't. And it's like all this material that he had, he can't really explain it with another Doctor because it wouldn't make any sense. That's why you never see Manic Bavarian again. That's why you never see the Silence again with Capaldi. You don't see any of that stuff because it would be odd to explain it, just like you wouldn't see the Ponds with Capaldi or Craig or any of that stuff. It's just too weird. Even though Karen Gillan now all of a sudden wants to come back. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense.
I bet she does.
Well, she don't have to, basically. I mean, she's got every role there is.
She is in Guardians of the Galaxy, but I mean, she's really
in Jumanji. She's in Tom Hanks movies. She's got roles like you wouldn't believe.
Well, I know that TV show she did bombed, The New Girl or whatever it was called.
Oh, that was so while ago. She done movies after that, though.
I only noticed her. Well, I mean, Oculus, of course, but I mean, that was kind of a smaller budget horror film.
She actually has, honestly, between her and Arthur Darvill, they're pretty much set when it comes to. I mean, she's more set than anybody, but. They're pretty much set. Before Matt Smith, what is he doing? The Crown, I guess. He's not really. Nobody is really wanting him in movies. His movie's still going to come out, by the way. The last movie he did, it's been delayed for years.
What's that? The zombie film?
Yeah, they just won't release it. Patient Zero.
Well, that's not a good sign.
Even that other one that he did, How to Catch a Monster, but then they changed it to River Runs or something. And I tried to watch that. I couldn't even. I finish everything, even if it sucks. I could not even finish watching that.
Do you find Matt Smith compelling, like Peter Capaldi, when you see him like in a role? Because
I could watch movies with Peter Capaldi all the time. I can't watch any movies with Matt Smith, with the exception of Terminator, Genesis.
He just happened to be in that.
I mean, I like Terminator Genesis franchise, but no, he just. I can't watch him in anything for some reason. And nothing against him. It's just, I can't. I mean, David Tennant, he's Jessica Jones. He was fantastic. And then he's got roles, man. I mean, he's still got roles, more roles than anything. I mean,
do you get a feeling history is about to repeat itself with the Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy period, where there's going to be do you think that the BBC is desperate and they're not showing it, but they're showing it through their actions with getting rid of Capaldi and trying to kind of hit a hard redo with this?
I think that there's a lot of
that seems really desperate, last minute sort of things. I mean, that's kind of an interesting discussion to talk about. If they're going to accomplish what they're trying to set out to do with Who.
I mean, I think there's a lot of fighting going on. I think there's a lot of infighting going on. I mean, how long did we hear that Matt Lucas contacted the BBC, and then the BBC supposedly told Moffat to put him in and change the pace because the series was too dark and you need to make it more comedy. And basically, I guess towards the end, they're starting interfering with Moffat's scripts a little bit where, you know what I'm saying? It just seems like a lot of stuff's going on we don't know about, really, behind the scenes.
Well, and Moffat's on his way out, except from what I hear from you guys, you talk about the guy's got a tremendous ego. Do you really think he's invested in making this, in carrying that extra load, that last distance before he hands the baton off? Or is he just kind of phoning it in, you think?
I mean, he does have an ego, and I think he cares about Doctor Who, but as long as it's done his way.
Is he just tired from living Who day in, day out for like however many seasons?
I think he's burnt out. Yeah, I think he's repeating his own work, which is worse. When you start stealing from yourself,
it's like somebody's been at a job too long, like any job, where they're just kind of like they're comfortable because it's reliable and they know what they're doing. And when you have some sort of managerial position or a position such as his, you kind of have more leeway to kind of get away with half-assing work because you're kind of, you're there for the work, not really for the material.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of things that he he's a showrunner with Matt Smith, and he did a lot of things during that era. But then you could look upon that and saying, well, at some point in time, he was really burnt out because again, whatever they write about that worked for him, I truly believe he tells them what to write. So technically, it's all from him. Technically, I want you to write about them shrinking down to $1. And meanwhile, even though somebody else's name is on it, it's Moffat's idea because that's what he kind of invented the whole showrunner thing. Like that, like it made a big thing out of that name more than anything else. Even though Russell T Davies was the head, like that name came about mostly with Moffat, I believe, because it's like he was too much into it. He should have just gave them the freedom to write what they wanted, and then he just, as a writer, mixes it in with what he wants instead of just being like there was no checks and balances. There was nobody to say, Mr. Moffat, this is not good. He just broke his own characters down to shit. And then he just screwed up things so bad that he just,
Well, is that, you're familiar with word tropes, right?
What is it?
Like if you talk about tropes, TROPES, like if you're talking about like Doctor Who, the tropes of Doctor Who that are famous, it's always, sonic screwdriver gets you out of a scenario.
Right.
He's in a situation, he tells everyone to run. They're kind of like played out things that occur. Like like comic books have them. I mean, every franchise has tropes, but it seems like from what you're saying, Moffat, his tropes have gotten so played out during his time at this point that he's becoming where he's being repetitive with things. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, and pretty much too, with his ego, he could unmake Doctor Who and change the whole history whatever way he wanted, and he didn't give a shit if anybody had a problem with it. And the biggest example of this is, it was clearly said, and you've seen it, that Christopher Eccleston's Doctor just regenerated. Because when he appeared in Rose, he's like, showing his nose, and that, remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that? But the 50th, to turn, we all know from the interviews, you've seen the interviews, he can't fucking stand that they had no say, the BBC in general, for the 8th Doctor. And then that 8th Doctor is the one that fucking did the Time War and everything. You could see the fucking expression on his face. Like, with his eyes, you can make memes about it. Like, one day I'm going to fucking erase this motherfucker from any importance whatsoever in Doctor Who mythology or whatever, So, the whole thing with that War Doctor thing, that is the biggest fucked up thing ever in history. Honestly. That fucked up so much shit that people that were friends with him for a long time stopped being friends with him. Like, he really fucked over everything. Fucked over Russell T Davies' stuff, the whole overall plan for Doctor Who, and then he made it worse with everything by doing that. A reset button. I understand that the Doctor saves people, but, on one hand, you do this, like, because you don't want the Doctor to be a monster, but then you show David Tennant, like David Tennant does all these things, so you're making all the other Doctors kind of like, it was just, he wanted Christopher Eccleston to be the one that killed everybody. And he's like, are you crazy? Like, that's impossible. And then Russell T Davies had a problem with his writing too, because he altered one of the storylines that Russell T Davies said. And they had a little argument about it. So he doesn't care. He's going to change whatever he wants to change. And he expects when he leaves things to remain the way he wanted it. No this, no that. No, fuck that. Do what you want. You know, it's like, enough of it. It's just too much. He was too much with it. But you know what? He never devoted 100% to it. It was always like 65%, but then Sherlock was 120%. Always. Sherlock was fucking perfect. The only thing that wasn't perfect was the Abominable Bride Christmas special of Sherlock. But other than that, the whole fucking run of Sherlock has been absolutely perfect. Every friggin' episode. And he could have did a Doctor Who like that, an hour and a half. But no, he wouldn't fucking push for that. That would have been even fucking better if he did a fucking hour and a half episode, 2-hour episode of Doctor Who all the time. Been great. But no, it's got to be, you know. And again, he took the budget from Doctor Who to do Sherlock. That's all. Stuck that shit in there, whatever. And even in the 50th, he admits it was a fucking disaster. They screwed over the whole thing. You lost a whole series of Doctor Who. How the fuck do you have a showrunner and you lose a whole series of Doctor Who? And then use the number. How many series did Moffat lose for us? How many series did he didn't go to bat for us because he's fucking tired? We went, right, after Clara, you know, with the whole Gallifrey fucking fiasco with Hellbent, right? You wait for a fucking year, you got Husbands of River Song, and then you got fucking
Mysterio.
One episode? Like the whole fucking year? Really? Really? That the fucking split seasons bullshit? Come on, man. We lost. I mean, who the fucking could the Walking Dead people say that? Oh, we fucked up and we lost a whole season. Sorry about that. The BBC must be used to losing money because they fucking lose it all the time. With the fucking egos with the Top Gear, they lost that shit and everything else. But I mean, do they even care about Doctor Who anymore? Like they should. I question that because if you remember, the 50th they didn't promote shit, but then Capaldi did promote the shit out of it. So why is that? 50? You know what I'm saying? 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, you don't even promote it to the fucking week before. You got like a hashtag or some shit with Matt Smith. It was like, what the hell is this? So I think that there's problems with BBC management. There's problems with Moffat. I think that he's burnt out. They don't give up 100%, and he's always concerned about Sherlock and everything else for Doctor Who. And he thinks, oh yeah, I could just explain the way. Like he turned it into fantasy more than science fiction. Like you said, you have a problem with the Rings of Akatan, where we just was doing all that kind of crazy shit with the science fiction. You know?
Well, no, I liked the episode. I didn't.
I actually loved the episode because, and Connor was having a heart attack about it. I love it because, and it wasn't Moffat, by the way, okay? And it showed a whole plot of Clara. It laid it out to you. What the fuck? She's normal. She's fucking normal. He was there from the beginning. A mother, all these things that Moffat intended to show. And then not only did you have that perfect part of the episode, but he was able to go into an alien world, fucking finally, right? And tell a whole civilization, a whole culture, cultures, religion, all this stuff with Clara. It was like a test for Clara, as proving herself as a companion. You know, he left her alone. Where the fuck did he go? Whatever. And she proved herself. She proved, you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, she's fucking a great companion, right? And he did crazy shit, you know? Like, but that to me, going off the world, doing that stuff was like classic Doctor Who, you know? It was like, that could be a jumping off point for a kid to watch Doctor Who. It had good story with Clara's subplot and good Rings of Akatan. And then after that was over, it went right back to the Clara thing, which was an arc supposed to be for the whole season, you know, with that. So it had everything that I needed and more so. And regardless of the ridiculousness of, you know, Leaf, and it was a great speech. It had great different, aliens in there. It was really one of a kind, I thought, and I really liked it. And I don't care what anybody says. I can watch that. That could be a jumping off point that you could put on Disney XD for fucking kids to watch Doctor Who. Not the pilot. The pilot, to me, it's too dull compared to like other episodes. I'm not saying it has to be a standout episode, but I don't see the Nardole character as interesting enough. In fact, of all the Doctor's companions, he's really not like on the level with even Harry Sullivan or whatever. I mean, even a Turlo. I mean, honestly,
Yeah, but Turlo was a complex character. I think he was.
You're turning a character that was below average into a full-time companion. That's telling. That's interesting. It's like, or is it desperation, or is it like? And again, nothing against Matt Lucas. I mean, that's not Matt Lucas' fault that Moffat wrote his shitly in The Husbands of Ripple Song, right? But when would that ever be? Like, if you have wrestling, if you have like the top draw money-making wrestler, would you use a shitty wrestler that can't even bring in a house with tickets and make him your world champion? No, of course you wouldn't. So why the fuck would you have a companion that nobody gave a shit about as a full-time fucking companion? And this is what I'm talking about. It's like, do they need money? Do they need to save money? What's happening here? Not interested at all. Sorry. Not. I'm really not.
Nardole could have been brought in this series to seemingly seem inconsequential, but ultimately pay off in a big way as the series goes this season.
I mean, I judge. I'm like, well, all the companions. Why the fuck does this one fly the TARDIS all over the place by himself in separate adventures? Holy shit! The only person that ever did that was Tasha Lim and freaking River Song, and now Nardole. He's gonna be traveling the TARDIS wherever he wants to go, even without the Doctor. Holy shit! But all the fucking companions, you didn't even have Susan do that shit. What the hell was that about? Not even Clara did that. Like, and it's like, why is he so special? That's what bothers me. It's like, you would think you would have to be like really up here to get a sonic screwdriver, right? I mean, Sarah Jane got it, right? River got it, right? I mean, Clara never got it, but I'm like saying, you give it like right over here. You go, this guy, give him a screwdriver. You say, what the fuck is that? Like, I mean, it bothers me, and it bothers me that they go over and over and over and over how the Doctor, with all his incarnations, doesn't fucking stay one place a long time. Can't stand it. Fucking, it was like hell in Trenzalore. It was like hell, him in the confession dial for fucking a billion. But even though it was only actually 3 weeks that Moffat explained finally, which we knew anyway. But, what's with this thing that his Doctor has to be the oldest fucking Doctor? Like, it isn't even. Does it really fucking make sense to say that he's there for 50 some odd years? Why couldn't he just be there a year? Why does it have to be like his Doctor is a 3,000-year-old Doctor? And that's what I think it is. It's all about. When I tell you this, I think it's about records. My Doctor, Paul lived for fucking this amount of time. Matt Smith lived this amount of time. All the Doctors suck. It's like, I did a 3-parter just like Russell T. Davis. I brought this back. I did this. I did this. I got the longest running companions. I got the most TARDISes, consoles. It's like a fucking baseball card of Doctor Who that he just looks to have.
Checking the boxes.
Like, Clara is the Doctor's love, his dog, everything. I mean, like, if you think about it, Clara could be fucking have regenerations on Gallifrey and just fucking be his wife for crying out loud. And you wouldn't even fucking know it because that was one of her other selves. You can't be on Gallifrey if you're not fucking Gallifreyan. You can't be human. So, like, all this shit that he just does, and he does things to piss people off, like Clara chose the TARDIS. I mean, no, why do you gotta annoy people for? Shitty resolutions with great intelligence. I mean, he's burnt out, dude. He's burnt out. You got one cliffhanger where, I mean, one finale we had the Cybermen and Missy, and now you're gonna do the same fucking shit, but only it's gonna be the Mondazi and stuff. It's like, what are you doing? You know? I'm tired of like the show being a repeat of itself. I mean, you tell me if you disagree, dude. But a lot of his episodes I could see taken from Russell T in the classic series. I don't see it as original. But then when he does do original stuff, it's stupid original stuff. It's like spoonheads and tree people, and it's like fucking aliens mixed with Santa Claus. So I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Well, he did like Dr. Dance's Empty Child, right? Those were good.
Yeah, but he was under Russell T Davis's guidance, where he's like, not doing that, doing that. So how did Moffat's episodes completely told the story and ended 100% with The Empty Child, Dr. Dance's, right? With Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead, perfect. Blink, Girl in the Fireplace. So why can't we have that in now? Why did his writing style change?
He's going to spread stuff out.
But he never answers a question. Why? What changed? Was it Russell T Davis that made him better? Where he had a boss that told him what to do? Or is it now that his ego and he just does whatever he wants?
Maybe he needs an editor to edit his decisions.
How many fucking times are you going to go to the end of the time?
They did that again. They did that again today.
How many fucking times are you going to do it?
Yeah, even when they did that in the episode, I kind of shook my head and laughed myself because I'm like, here we go again, going to the end of the world.
The end of time. We're going to the end of time. This is why it's boring. Because he does it all. And then there's nothing left to do. Stop fucking going to the end of time. Stop fucking doing this shit. It's just fucking ridiculous.
I did like seeing the Movellans.
I mean, that was cool to see the bodies flying against the wall and getting fucking their ass handed to them by the Daleks. I mean, that was just crazy shit.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a good 2-minute segment there with the Daleks.
You know?
They put in their requisite appearance.
Yeah.
Bill was great, though.
Oh, I loved her lines, yeah. He's good about that. But again, I feel like, you know, and that's another thing. Gatiss wanted to do the Ice Warriors for fucking years, right? For fucking like years, man. Moffat's like, nope, 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 nope. You know, then you get the Cold War and it sucks. and then he's like, I promise I'm going to do a better Ice Warrior story. Okay. Finally, the last year he does it. Finally. Fuck out of here. That's crazy.
I liked the toilet line about going down to the toilet. He's like, better give it a minute.
Yeah, that was great. That was actually fun.
But I mean, Nardal, is he insinuating that he just came from the toilet?
He just took a dump, yeah. Basically.
Yeah, but isn't he like a robot or something? I mean, how's that?
Oh, I mean, maybe he's not completely. Maybe it's just his arm or his leg. Or...
Okay.
That's another thing. If the Doctor's aging 50 years and he's not aging, he's not all an alien, he don't age either. Nardal's going to be there for 50 years. That's weird. I just don't. I have a problem with that. You could have said I was here for a year and that's what I'm doing. Not 50 whatever years. That's just weird.
So what's going on with this thing with Bill causing the Doctor to regenerate? What's the circumstance?
Well, that's the thing. Connor's saying it. I don't know anything about it. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's speculation somewhere. They're talking about the episode where the Doctor's on the wrong side, and Bill has to convince him, or go. She might have to kill him to stop him from what he's doing. That's what they say.
Well, they kind of set that up a little bit in kind of a disagreement sort of way in the episode, the pilot that was shown yesterday.
Well, they did the Town Core Mercy that Amy was ready to shoot the doctor.
Well, I was talking about the thing where he was gonna mind wipe her, and she's like, look, I'm not stupid. Like she seems like that would be something she would do if it came down to it. But we're getting further into these adventures. Like she could very well be, like she said, very intelligent, quick to put things together and deduce things. That she would just go like, "This is my last resort step to shoot the doctor." Because she's known him for a while in the capacity of like him being her, the professor at the school, and they've got a friendship. But obviously, traveling with him and developing the kind of relationship they're going to have over the next, adventures, which there are only a handful of adventures we actually see, I'm sure, because I'm sure there's going to be ones interspersed in between, in the future that they're going to have referenced or, big finish or whatever. But you can already see that she would be the type that would speak up to him and just be like, no, this is bullshit. You're wrong about this, and not just kind of be all like fawning over everything he says and does and just unquestioned.
Right. I mean, hopefully she turned out to be a really good companion, like she seems to be so far. But I don't know what Moffat's doing with this whole thing. I don't know where he's playing with this guilt shit too. My whole thing is that if you're gonna keep fucking doing shit about Clara, then put her in the fucking Christmas budget and be done with it. Actually fucking solve something. Answer a question that, why do you go to conventions and you're like, oh, well, this is where Clara and Ashilda are right now. And it's like, well, why the fuck are you doing that for? You obviously know where they are, but nobody else knows. So you obviously have fucking plans. Then we're hearing shit that Maisie Williams is like, oh, I'm ready to do Doctor Who again. But I was like, well, wait a minute. Didn't she just say that she doesn't want to do Doctor Who anymore because like all this shit happened with a character and it was like fucking people were threatening her and shit, he killed Clara and shit? It's like
money talks. Plus they make a lot of money on the convention circuit too. So I mean she would be set with just going, she puts her stamp on being a guest companion or somebody that's been on like a handful of episodes of Doctor Who. She can do the convention circuit. I mean, there's a lot of politics involved.
But it's not. I would disagree with the money talks thing, but it's not necessarily the money talks thing either. It's just the fact that Game of Thrones is ending, so she can be out of work. So I mean, yes, she's going to have the job in the X-Men universe, like New Mutants, but why not now, Doctor? I guess. Same thing with Joan Louise Coleman too. I heard that she was around set for a while too, just chilling for whatever reason, not even filming. So, and then she visited Peter on his set of his movie, something else he filmed. So, I don't know, man. I just want to be completely satisfied with something that Moffat resolves. Which I want him to resolve something. Could he resolve something? Maybe.
Well, aren't they resolving the Sims Master story?
I don't even know if he's actually going to do that. He might make it worse and not answer anything. Just like, what if the Sims Master regenerates and it's not even missing? Then you're really not going to know what the fuck's going on. Seriously. So,
Well, I saw the trailer, that brief couple of seconds where seemingly they're showing Capaldi regenerating. Is the consensus that he's going to be in the process of regenerating and holding it back through like maybe the last third of the episodes into the Christmas special?
Well, what about this? What if he's going to regenerate, and what if the Master has Rassilon the glove and just stops it? Like cuts it off.
Well, I mean,
heals himself.
Is it definitely Capaldi that's regenerating and not Sim in that scene?
It looks like Capaldi if we freeze frame it. I mean,
I just saw it quickly, like 2 or 3 times.
I mean, let me just
But
see it.
I mean, I remember there's like two like military suited people in the background, and they seem to be like in a. It looks like a almost like a futuristic living room or something. Like,
I mean, I'm pretty sure it looks like a Colby.
but that doesn't look like the same place where his hand is doing the regeneration energy in the previous teaser.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
So
either.
it's like, I mean, is he going to start regenerating and hold it back like several times through the series or something?
I mean, maybe it's a thing that the regeneration could be halted by other energy means, and he just doesn't regenerate at that time, or he
Does he have to give his regeneration energy to the master for him to regenerate, and he
But
becomes
that's the thing. I mean, we see that he could heal over his hands with some energy, but could he actually give a regeneration away? Other than, like, I mean, we saw with the Davros where he was giving them the energy, but could he do that with like River did to him? Maybe. Maybe Misty's going to die and he gives her regeneration. I just don't like this whole thing with the Doctor being friends with Misty. That's kind of like
with the
weird.
doctor. The doctor, what with Missy?
Like, I mean, like if he would be friends with her, you know, like he was cool with her with the Magician's Apprentice, the Witch's Familiar, until she screwed over Clara. It's like, you know, I don't think I want to see the Doctor and Missy friends or the Master friends, you know.
It doesn't tend to end well for him.
Doesn't tend to end well when the Moffat makes these fucking characters. You know, he fucking makes the Suntarans like a damn joke, where they're freaking stupid, and they can't even be villains anymore. And it's like, well, thanks for effing that up, you know. And then he just makes the Weeping Angels into fucking like 5-second appearances in fucking the Christmas special, and they just appear here and there, like they're a fucking joke. So it's like every character is like, really? Solarians, what? They're at their own home planet now. They just everybody's a good guy all of a sudden now. It's like,
so
wow.
have they stated that the Weeping Angels are actually like ancient deceased Time Lords?
No.
You know, when they showed in the End of Time, you had those Time Lords flying
The Weeping Angels of old.
They had their eyes covered.
The Weeping Angels of old, they were called.
Yeah.
They were not, meaning, I guess, to distinguish from the new Weeping Angels. Which maybe the Weeping Angels was a religion, the Time Lords.
Well, we saw in the Five Doctors. Remember that the whole thing with them being rewarded with immortality was to be made encased in stone.
And like I was explaining, my idea about that was that the Time Lords had the technology to make his essence alive and keeping him encased as something big like a Time Lord where they could resurrect Rassilon. Like he never was really, like his body was done, but his mind wasn't, so they connected him to like a computer or some shit. You know, and when the Time War hit, they gave him regeneration energy, and boom, he's back, 100%. So, you know, it would be nice if they explained the Nethersphere. It would be nice if they explained why Missy did that thing with Clara, what she had intention with Clara, why she's able to see the Doctor's adventures through Clara's eyes.
Maybe that's what's behind the vault, the Nethersphere.
Where the fuck is it? and Danny Pink is calling her from the Nethersphere. He's in there. He's basically in there. He's like, yeah, I don't have enough energy to come out of there. So go get the damn Nethersphere. Because even Missy told Clara, she's like, did your boyfriend come back yet? She knows he's in the fucking disco ball of Gallifrey there. So get the fucking thing already. Like, but I think that Moffat has a problem with the actor. So.
Meaning the guy that plays Danny Pink?
Yeah, the guy that plays Danny Pink. I think he has a problem with him. You ever like see the way the episode's going out, and you're like, why the fuck did it happen this way? Like weird shit happens, and you're like, that's weird, you know?
Well, yeah, the way they started that whole Nether Sphere thing, and I was expecting they were going to play it out a little bit more because it seemed like it like it was just like okay, they just moved on from like something happening.
Yeah, like doesn't this frustrate you at all?
Well, I mean, in that case, yeah, because it seems like I missed. It's like there's like 3 missing episodes or 2 or a season in between like the Nether Sphere and.
Thank you.
It's like what's going on now?
It's like why did you waste the money to say that the clock, that the half-face man is in the Nether Sphere, and then the lady from Into the Dalek, and then the person from Caretaker, they're all chilling in there. So where are they? Are you bringing them in an episode like you did with the Doctor bringing people out of time for the Black Spot and Danny Boyd to the Doctor? And remember that stuff? He was just pulling people from time to battle the Good Man Goes to War and all that shit. Remember that?
Yeah.
So like, are you fucking gonna put all these people in an episode, or are you just bullshitting us? And then you got the impression that Missy's job was something else because it was an episode where, she was always the one to meet up with people that just went to that sphere, but then they said something about her being busy with something or distracted with something and had old personnel. Like, what is that about? Like, where are all those people? I mean, you have a TARDIS that you put them in that sphere because as soon as they were dead, they would like upload it like a file to a computer.
Well, yeah, they seemed like they were like it's like when you watch movies and earlier in a film they go out of their way to like have an exposition scene where they're like, this gun, don't hit this button because if you hit this button, this is what happens. And then they go to like another scene and you're like, well, obviously we're going to pick up on that somewhere where somebody's going to grab that gun and hit the button they're not supposed to hit. But that scene never happens.
Right.
So you're like, what the fuck was that all about?
Right, so they fucked up Series 8 with that because he didn't fucking explain anything. And Series 9, that whole hybrid bullshit fucked everybody up too. Well, think about it for a second. Everybody and their fucking mother is a hybrid. If you think about it, River's a fucking hybrid. He's a fucking hybrid. Fucking Osgood's a hybrid. This one's everybody and their mother's a hybrid. 2 shitty fucking storylines that he fucked up. Moffat. For the whole season. 2. 8 and 9. Fucked it up completely.
But I'm not sure. I might have missed something, but who was the hybrid?
Who the fuck knows?
Okay, so I didn't miss.
You won't get a fucking answer from him.
Yeah, I understand like the purpose of a MacGuffin in a movie or a series. It's like the thing that's important. It's really not important. It's the thing that just propels the story forward. But if it doesn't have bearing on what transpires, then it's not even a MacGuffin. It's just in there like for no reason.
You have to have a beginning, a middle, and end, right? No matter what. Even if it takes a little while to do it, it has to be a beginning, middle, and end, right?
Well, I mean, think about it. It's like this, like in this episode that we just saw, the pilot. It's like I could see, based on what we're talking about, the Doctor and Bill when they're running to the puddle the first time at the beginning, and they run through the parking lot and they see a car glowing mysteriously in the parking lot, and the Doctor stops Bill and's like, don't worry about that, don't touch it, come on, follow me. And you're like, oh, well, they're going to pick up on that later. Because obviously, why else would they run by a car that's glowing for no reason unless it's going to be utilized further in the series, right? But then they never go back to explaining what the relevance was for them shooting that scene. Like, why is there a fucking car glowing in the parking lot? They never go back to involving that in the story in any way, right? I mean, it's out of place. You're just like, wow. I mean, like,
I'll give you another example of why you understand why I hate this episode. So he's there like 50, 54 years, right? I mean, basically, right? He's there, the Doctor, right?
Yeah, I follow what you're saying.
So he don't know every fucking nook and cranny of that fucking school that he's there for 54 years? He don't know that there's fucking aliens and a fucking puddle? 54 years? He doesn't know that? He's only concerned with the basement. He can't see fucking invasions all over the place. He can't see the burnt things on the roof. He doesn't walk around anywhere else. He doesn't know that, but he'll know if fucking he could smell the master from the other side of the fucking beach or some shit. And master's banging on the fucking drums. You'll know the master's there. Or you could go like this and you could say it's Tuesday. Wow. But you know there's a fucking puddle? And you're there 54 years, right? This is what I'm talking about. The bullshit that I'm talking about.
Well, there's also
the
whole purpose of the show, too, is it's like, oh, well, the doctor always just happens to show up right where he needs to be at the time he needs to be there. You know, like hey, Sarah Jane, let's go to this planet. I'm going to take you. They got a great beach. And they show up, you know, and there's like some fucking Dalek invasion in the midst of going on secretly or something. I mean, you know, for reasons.
But Neil Gaiman explained it, though, when he did the TARDIS episode. He said the TARDIS said to the doctor, as, you know, Idris, I don't take you where you got to go. I take you where you need to go.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that, but I mean, I'm just saying.
So I mean, basically, that explains it. You never even have to go again. You know, it's done. It's been explained. That's what happens. So,
but I mean, but the character doesn't act like that's the case. It acts like that, like the doctor acts like he's forgotten that, because then he'll show up he'll go to some planet like acting like he's going to take Joe Grant to like some flower symposium going on planet Zeros or something, and he ends up on some storm-ridden Gothic castle world, and he'll just be like, oh, well, that's interesting. What are we doing here? But it's like, you know, if he knows that the TARDIS has told him that she's going to take him where he needs to be, then he should just go, oh, well, I mean, why not just hit the controls and just take a random, you know, like in Quantum Leap, you know, you just are going to go where, you know, like that, where there's no purpose behind it. He just knows it's just going to be jumping from one putting out a fire in one place to putting out a fire in another place to putting out a fire in another place. That would seem like it would get old because it's kind of like a full-time job. I mean, why not just be able to have some downtime and just go to a damn planet to relax sometime?
Let me ask you a question. Why did he put the water in the test tube?
I'm thinking back.
I mean, he said it's not water, right? So he went to run tests on it, right? Where's the scene with that?
Well, the thing that was odd, too, is he just stuck his hand, like, sort of carefree right into it. And then later on, he's, like, telling Bill, warning her, don't touch Heather. You know? And it's like, he just, you know, it's like, whatever. I'll just stick my hand in this weird puddle for no reason. I mean, it was important enough for him to haul ass right out of the school and run straight over there like it was an emergency. And then he's just like...
It's called a plot hole. That's what it is. I mean,
I'm going to stick my hand in this puddle that, for all I know, is going to, like, turn me into something crazy, you know?
Well, how about this? He can't leave. He can't, he's got to guard that vault, right? He can't leave. He can't really go anywhere. So for 54 years, he don't go anywhere, but then she buys him a Christmas present, so he travels back in time and takes pictures with her dead mother to give it to her.
Well, the puddle disappeared, though, when Heather disappeared, because Heather became the puddle of water.
Right.
So the puddle's not there anymore.
Right. But I'm saying that was weird, right?
Kind of like the storyline. It was left.
It was all over the place. That's what it's called.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed the episode. It was entertaining. I understood what it was there to do. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, you could pick it apart and ask different things.
That's the whole thing. I'm not trying to pick it apart. But when you come across a whole media and you say that this is the episode that is going to change the ratings, it's going to get new fans, and I watch it and I'm like, no, it isn't. You know, then I'd say pick it apart based on him promoting it more than usual. So, I mean,
well, it's the start of his last series too. So, I mean, I'm sure he's going to be out there saying, like, I mean, you know, they shot video of grass growing in front of the TARDIS. He would still be saying the same thing because, I mean, if you said he's got the ego he's got, then he's going to want to have everyone watching it. And, you know, this is my big last hurrah series, and this is going to, like, change everything. And I'm sure there's going to be stuff. I think as the season goes on, it's going to be fantastic. I mean, like I said, I didn't think this was like a, you know, I thought it was good for what it was doing. But I think that there's going to be, I think that there will be probably 2 or 3 absolute classic episodes this season that are going to, like, be ones that people revisit and watch like Midnight or Blink or so. I mean, they're going to be really good.
I mean, I can mention Moffat's episodes.
The one thing I remember actually, now that before I forget it, on the cast that you did earlier, I was a little shocked when I heard Connor say that, what was it, Utopia, Last of the Time Lords, like that whole arc.
Yeah, paint by number.
Oh, yeah, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, how the fuck is that? And I explained it basically.
Yeah, and it was really dark too. I mean, you got like his assistant just being fucking
straightforward.
Yeah, like the professor's fucking killing his assistant and just becoming like this sort of genteel older fellow to like this like vile, sinister.
He was a genuine good guy that's likable.
And I mean, Tenet was solid and great in it. I mean, I thought all of those were great. Those weren't paint by number.
It's a bad reference because
paint by number generally is like a connotation of like just
paint by number is like an American thing that they don't even probably have overseas. That they don't even know it's like for 4-year-olds or whatever, and it's like.
Well, it's like phoned in, and it's like pandering to like lowest common denominator of intelligence. Phoned in is what that or paint by number rather is. It's just dumbed down, simplistic, and I mean that.
I didn't find that pretty hard Utopia anyway like that.
Those would be the last descriptive terms I would use for that.
So I gotta talk to Connor about that because I don't know where he's getting that.
Well, he doesn't like Castrovalva. That's a joke between he and I. Anyway. And I've explained to him, there's a reason, you needed to. This doctor was more of a, more.
Why does Dolly have braces and why did she fall in love with Joyce? It's like.
Well, the thing with Castrovalva, I mean, you had to. Coming off of Tom Baker, especially, they wanted you, like Davison was more of like a genteel sort of doctor and he was like the kindly older brother sort of doctor as opposed to like a quirky alien sort of personality. But
there's a reason he rips the scarf. That's the whole point.
Yeah, and I mean, you're supposed to, it's, I actually like Castrovalva a lot, and I think it's underrated in some circles because I know that you can like take jokes and jabs at the Master and Adric and certain things that happen in it, and there's a lot of running around for sure. There's a lot of corridor running around the TARDIS, and running around Castrovalva. But I mean, I think that the TARDIS scenes with the Doctor were always, I always enjoy watching that episode because I think it's cool seeing just the Doctor kind of in his own element and not really in a safe place, either like where he is physically or mentally with things, and just seeing him, because I mean, we saw that kind of with David Tennant too in his first episode where he was having to recoup and he wasn't the center of the attention, and it still was a great episode.
Yeah, the Doctor's at his weakest with Peter Davison, and then you get to see that there's some emotions that he held back as Tom Baker, that when they're talking about Romana, he's fucking upset. Like, oh, she's not here. It's like, oh shit, or whatever. It's like stuff comes out. It's like just like David Tennant, you see that he's fucking genuinely upset that he missed Sarah Jane and all that shit. So it's like, But anyway, I just want Moffat, beginning, middle, end. Do what you used to do as a writer in Series 1, in Series 2, in Series 3, in Series 4. End it. Beginning, middle, end. Don't leave it where, like, what the hell is that about? Oh, I don't know if we're going to encounter her again. Maybe. What's that shit? You're running to the end of the universe. You don't even know why. You're testing to see if she can find you. Aren't you a little worried that maybe she's a threat? I mean, wouldn't you think so? Why is she a good guy all of a sudden if she like has teeth and she's like growling and shit? Now she's fucking, oh, she's cool. Let me hold her hand, kumbaya. And you got like a fucking lucid dream, like something out of fucking, like you're high as a kite type of shit with an alien in the fucking universe, and I love you, you love me. Like, well, what the hell is that? You're gonna eat her. Now you're not gonna eat her. It's like, what the fuck is happening here? I think Moffat's on crack. It's like, what's going on here? I don't know what's happening. confusing as hell.
Well, couldn't they? You know the one thing they didn't think about doing though. You know what did they? What was their? What did they try and think about this? And it'll be very obvious. What did they try and do to get away from the creature? Right? They went to the end of time. They went. Well, first they went to like just outside the school. They were testing how far the stretch could be, and then he was like, "Well, we're going to purge it by going to like whatever, by fire or whatever." Why didn't they go to like some ice planet where like the water would freeze, where she wouldn't have mobility? I mean, wouldn't that make sense? Like just show
Why
up.
would you go in the middle of a war zone with the Daleks? You thought the Daleks were going to kill her? I mean, is that? Do you think that was the plan to have the Daleks kill her?
Well, I didn't get what that was about, other than just a reason. It seemed like a reason to crowbar the Daleks in because, I mean, I like the scene, but I mean, you can't think too hard about it because it's like you said. I mean, could the Doctor not have something that would blast them just like a Dalek would without having to put themselves in direct, like in the middle of a war zone where they're going to get probably blasted by the Dalek?
You fucking see yourself as you're the fucking Doctor. I could just, walk by a time war or some shit and a war and it's okay just to deal with this Puddle fucking creature. This fucking shit-ass Puddle creature. Like, what's that about?
The Puddle.
What the fuck is that? No, but what is that about, though? It's a fucking shit-ass Puddle creature. What is that?
Well, you got the spoons and you got the wood people.
Should you realize how ridiculous this is? The fucking Daleks were traveling in the void, trying to explore universe and shit. This motherfucker just, like, appears at the end of time and appears fucking places. Because they looked at her in the eye, like, ooh, ah, oh. Like, lesbian all the way? Like, well, what the fuck? What is this?
Well, the other thing is, okay, they've already established that the TARDIS can isolate rooms. Why did they not materialize the TARDIS on top of the Puddle monster and then eject that room into, like, the heart of the sun or something, where it would just, like, instantly, any water material would just, like, and just be gone, right? I mean, aren't there better ideas than, like, just showing up on a Dalek in the middle of a war going on with the Daleks blasting?
I mean, isn't he a little worried that he almost fucked up the whole timeline by saving Davros in the first place? So now you don't give a shit and you want to test something with a Puddle monster? So you, like, what the fuck is that, dude? Like, seriously.
That's going to be the new fan favorite villain, like with the Candyman. It's going to be the fucking
Puddle monster, dude. But, like, honestly, do you see what I'm saying? Moffat doesn't know what the fuck is happening.
It'd be funny if the Puddle monster shows up again this season, and that's like the reason. Like maybe it takes over Bill, and that's why Bill shoots the Doctor. It's the Puddle monster.
This is not my tears. I'm like, what the fuck is in you, man? Are you
maybe
Bill or are you a fucking alien?
Maybe that's something. Maybe when she touched, because remember they were making a big to-do about Bill not touching hands with the Puddle monster, and then she said, "These aren't my tears." Maybe the Puddle monster is somehow in Bill, and that's going to come up later.
Like the fucking weeping angel and Amy, and she touches her eye and the fucking dust comes out. Like, that's fucking great, man. This is crazy.
Well, no, I mean, I'm being serious. Maybe that'll come up later, because I mean, that was kind of, now that you mentioned it, a weird thing about her saying, like, these aren't my tears or whatever. But
okay, what is the purpose of the fucking Puddle monster? Seriously. We have no. It's like it's just there. Like it was like this thing in there, and it was like, didn't it look like two people or three people are talking to each other?
Yeah.
Like, we need to go in there. Like, whatever. Like, what the fuck is it? Puddle monster. Seriously.
Maybe they're gonna drown the wood lice with a Puddle monster later in the series.
I'm supposed to look back. Oh man, I gotta tell you. I love Moffat's run. One of my favorite stories is a thing called The Pilot. I don't even fucking remember this episode because I hate it. I don't remember shit I hate. I don't remember shit I hate that he did.
You really liked it, huh?
No, I fucking hated it. Dude, he probably had a puddle outside his house. And that's he made an episode into it. Like, grasping a straw. He's bored.
But I mean, why couldn't the Doctor not have done what I was saying, like, or tried it. Because, I mean, water, obviously, like, the water was able to, like, act like just natural water you would be encountering. Why not, like, just, couldn't he have just, like, transferred it into the TARDIS swimming pool and, like, ejected it out into, like, a sun that was about to explode or something? I mean,
he could have fucking drank it.
and pissed it out.
Whatever. I don't know. Whatever.
Could have had, like, the toilet monster. He could have gone down to the TARDIS toilet then and pissed in it.
Did he still have the vacuum cleaner that he did from as David Tennant, like he's trying to be Ghostbusters with the Cybermen? Like, you'd have just scooped the fucking shit out. Like, what the fuck, man?
I don't think the Puddle Monster is going to be one of the stronger villains in the franchise.
Puddle Monster is related to the fucking Spoonhead and the fucking Tree Person.
They're all going to create a consortium of, like, villains, like super villains.
God, the fucking loser legion.
Well, Kendall was on earlier tonight. I haven't had a chance to watch that yet, but that might end up being a better episode.
That was a much better episode. Fucking shit. Yeah.
Tegan and the Mara.
Fucking love Tegan Jamaica, man. Great.
Yeah, she had a very
Janet Fielding was great.
very somber departure from the show.
Sad departure, man.
Yeah,
She was dreaming all this death with the Daleks, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and that was really, when I saw that, I wasn't aware that was going to happen, and I saw her freaking out and, like, running. I thought she just was running out of the room, and
that was traumatic.
I was like, well, she's gone. I was like, fuck.
Like, she had a nervous breakdown and shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, all right.
Bye. Yeah, and him and Turlo just take off and go meet Perry.
Like, with Turlo, I always thought, like, he was just going to open up the door and just push him out. You see the Black Guardians?
I like Turlo. He was great, man.
I fucking hated Turlo, man.
Talking to the guy with the dead bird on his head. The Black Guardian.
Yeah, that showed up in Rings of Akadad. You saw that?
Well, I mean, I saw the episode. I'm sure I saw it. I just forgot. Was there a reference?
There was this lady that looked exactly like the Black Guardian.
Oh, God.
In the Rings of Akadad.
I like that Maldron Undead, though, they introduced
her.
I
love that episode, Maldron Undead. That's like one of my favorites, actually, especially when the Brigadier touches the younger self and stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Brigadier being in that. That episode came out, like, in, what was it, like 83 or something? 82, 83? But, I mean, what, like, in what era does UNIT take place? Like, the Lethbridge Stewart and Mike Yates and Benton, because if I remember correctly, in the Pertwee time period, wasn't it supposed to be like in the 80s or something? And at that time, you know, the series with the modern day was like the 70s, the early 70s. But then they get to the 80s, and it's like, you know.
I guess in mid 80s he was, well, he had traumatic experience because his younger self touched his older self. So then he became a teacher, and then didn't remember things. And then he got zapped again, and then he's like, now he remembers. It was like, and then he went back into being the Brigadier because of Battlefield and all that shit, you know.
But I mean, like Planet of the Spiders and like Invasion of the Dinosaurs and all that.
He was in Robot. He was in Robot. He was in
Terror of the well, he wasn't in Terror of the Zygons, but UNIT was.
But I guess he was zapped. I don't know what year it was.
No, but I mean, the Pertwee era UNIT stories. Just concentrating on those. When the Doctor was Earthbound,
was that great?
No, they were great. But I'm saying, was that supposed to be Earth's future or its present day? Because I thought that they inferred that those stories took place like within a 10 to 12 year period from modern day.
No, that was in the 70s and actually Earth years. That's what it was. That's what they were doing in that time.
But I thought, didn't they have like with Ambassadors of Death or something that stuff was supposed to be like in the future?
They might have had something about, you know,
like it wasn't.
Well, they had many times. They had all the way to 1986. Remember, they were like one thing. Oh, at the 10th planet they went to, which was considered the future, I guess, right? The 80s, but it wasn't really. Yeah, it was just, you know, whatever.
Atari. Yeah, they were in the. Well, I mean, at least they were in an isolated place like the North Pole and shit, right? Where it was like, you know, like this could be like the '80s, other than like the computers and.
It's like the way they explain K9. They said the K9 was retro, meaning that it was more advanced technology, but it looked like shit technology. You know?
Well, yeah, it's like when you watch like classic Star Trek, and they're pushing buttons that are like the size of like a shoebox, and it's supposed to be like the 22nd century or something, you know, or
right
23rd, I guess.
All right, dude, I'm gonna go because it's late, but it's been fun. We'll talk about this again. And again, we could disagree about episodes, whatever. We still love Doctor Who.
I mean,
That's apparent. I mean,
it didn't suck. It was still entertaining. I mean, you know, would you not agree? It was at least entertaining. I mean, it was
entertaining. I mean, I have to watch it again many times, but it was entertaining. But entertaining because you got to see the thrill of the companions. First time in the TARDIS, and dialogue with the Doctor and the rapport, the chemistry and stuff. And anytime it's a companion's first time, it's always a great time, you know.
Did you like Nardole running around all of the scenes where he's doing that crazy waddle run?
I mean, it was pretty funny, certain things, but again, I'm supposed to get excited about a puddle monster, so then there you go.
Like, we got new fodder now for jokes with the puddle.
That's like saying the next episode, the tape monster's coming. Okay,
he's on his way.
Look out, because the roll never ends. It's like, okay,
that's going to cause
excited about that.
Somebody's going to scotch tape the Doctor's ass. It's going to make him regenerate.
I didn't even get to talk to you. I originally wanted to talk to you about.
Oh God! Yeah, I saw that. What the fuck is that anyway?
Well, it's not really shit. It's jelly beans. Yeah. Jelly beans, basically.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is. All right. On that note, good night, my friend.
Puddle monster.
Puddle monster. Take care, bye.